Paddy Pimblett's head coach just gave one of the most delusional interviews that I've seen in a long time. And it's actually kind of surprising because usually it's the fighters that have a bit of delusion about them headed into a big fight. And they kind of need that. You kind of need that iron self-belief. Some call it delusion going into a massive fight because, I mean, you're going to have something crazy to propel you into a cage fight against the best martial artists in the world. It's usually the coaches that are a little bit more even-tempered with the way that they speak on things, where they're not the ones that are getting carried away. They're not the ones sounding like fanboys, even though, of course, they have that natural bias towards the fighter that they're coaching. And this is not me making a video about Paddy Pimblett's head coach because he thinks Paddy's going to win. I understand Paddy Pimblett's coach is going to say that they're going to win. It's just this is a different level of bias that we're going to get to. So let's get into this. Paddy Pimblett's head coach is going to be asked about Ilia Topuria's win over Charles, and he is going to downplay it so much. It's actually kind of crazy. We'll just see.
Are you surprised that Charles Oliveira just went out there and kind of stood with Ilia? Were you expecting a different game plan?
First off, and I heard Paddy Pimblett say the same thing, like, what was the game plan, lad? Are we forgetting that Charles Oliveira shot 2 takedowns and really committed to both of them? Like, the first minute of the fight, within 20 seconds, these guys were up against the cage and Ilia Topuria was on the defensive while Charles was trying to take him down. They then went to the ground. There was like a 1.5 minute grappling exchange. As soon as they both got back up to their feet, what did Charles do again? He shot another takedown. So this idea that Charles had this terrible game, his game plan was to grapple first and foremost, not to strike. I understand that he didn't do a great job with how he approached the striking, but that's what Charles does. He always goes forward. You can't expect Charles to fight like a completely different guy, and ultimately running away is not going to save you. But either way, he went for the grappling first and foremost. You know, I'm tired of people talking about Charles's game plan was terrible. He went for the fucking grappling. That's what he was supposed to do, and it got shut down. And he had to stand with Topuria.
He didn't come out and just stand with him. He did try to initiate a takedown.
Thank you. Okay, so here we go. There's a good take. There's a good take, but it's gonna get bad.
But I was surprised that he was just happy to walk into his punches. To be honest with you, yeah, I was quite surprised at that. Ilia likes to walk people down, and you don't want to do that job for him.
That's 100% true. That is 100% true. But again, we're going to get to some crazy amounts of delusion in about 30 seconds, guys.
Well, now, dude, but it's pretty crazy, right? Like Alex Okanovsky, Max Holloway. Now we've got, obviously, Charles Oliveira. What do you make of the 3 guys that Ilia was able to beat back to back? Like, he's obviously #1 ranked now, pound for pound.
All them guys have been in a lot of wars over the years. Let's just put it that way. So, like, you know, you're talking about someone that's beaten champions, and to beat champions, you have to have fights where you've fought the best in the divisions. And all of them guys have had a lot of hard fights over the years, and a lot of them had heavy knockouts.
Heavy knockouts, lad. Just like Max Holloway going into the Topuria fight, he had never been knocked out, but he had heavy knockouts. Heavy knockouts. He was on the receiving end of them. I mean, fair enough. You could say, well, technically he was KO'd by Paul Felder. Yeah, with fucking noogie punches. Charles Oliveira had like noogie punch TKOs where he was quitting back in the day. But like, what are we talking about? Oliveira has never been KO'd. He has been dropped. He's been dropped 100%. Never been KO'd. Never been like flatlined. Holloway, never been TKO'd in his entire career. Volk, up until that point, fair enough, he got KO'd. But I think at this point, it's freaking clear that Topuria would have knocked him out, whether or not Volk was coming off of a KO loss. That right hook that Topuria lands, it's putting anyone to sleep. I'm sorry. And guess what? We're going to talk more about that.
Around the time of, well, they were due to fight Ilia, should we say? You know what I mean?
So that's the thing. It's like he's basically saying all of these guys, when they fought Ilia Topuria, were beating up old dogs at the end of their reign. And it's like, dude, I would understand that a little bit more if Volkanovski didn't just come back and have a 5-round fight where he proved his chin was not totally gone, where he beat one of the heaviest punchers in the 145-pound division. That's 36-year-old Volk. 36-year-old Volk going into a fight with a heavy hitter like Diego Lopez, and he went 5 rounds with him and got his chin tested for all 5. So you don't get to say that Volk was just totally done at the end of it. As I said, Topuria knocked him out because of his perfect technical boxing and his power. Guys with just power aren't able to knock out Volk, even if they just clip him. All right? And again, with the Max Holloway situation, Holloway was on a crazy win streak. He had just beaten TKZ. He had just beaten Arnold Allen. He had just KO'd Justin Gaethje up a weight class. And he has never been KO'd in his entire career. I mean, you got people out here saying Max Holloway's washed. He's not in his prime. Holloway's like 33. Holloway was improved in the Gaethje fight. He was improved in the TKZ and Arnold Allen fight. He got better from the Kattar fight, the Volk trilogy, to those last 3 fights he had before the Topuria fight. And he had never been KO'd. So what is this guy talking about? What are you saying? What are you saying? All right? Oliveira took some heavy knockouts, lad. Oliveira, I didn't know he got KO'd against Arman Tsarukyan because the last time I checked, there was no damage really dished out on the feet in that fight. Arman hit him with a couple of gnarly elbows, but nothing majorly concussive. The Michael Chandler fight, Oliveira took like 1 big punch in the 5th, right? The Dariush fight, Oliveira didn't take any damage. He got dropped by Makhachev. That was years ago, but like, you know, what are we talking about? Oliveira's not been KO'd like that. What are you saying? What are you saying? Okay? What are you saying, son?
So kind of like...
This worries me. This worries me. You cannot be downplaying these wins. Now, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Charles Oliveira that Ilia fought was peak prime Oliveira. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is at this point, I think it's fucking clear that the reason why Topuria is knocking these guys out is not because they're old and their chins can't take it. It's because he hits like an absolute truck, son. He hits like a truck and he's got the fucking combos and the footwork and the technique that none of these motherfuckers have seen before. It's not because they're old. Holloway 33. Volk bounced back off of the KO loss, took an entire year off, got a year older, and took out a killer like Diego Lopez. And say what you want about Diego Lopez. He may not be the second, third best in that division. He's at least top 5 and hits like a fucking Mack truck. So we don't get to say Volk got KO'd by Topuria because he was chinny. All right?
I do get that that Ilia is a knockout artist. But he's not knocking out guys that haven't been knocked out.
Except Holloway! What are we... Brother, what are you saying? Holloway had never been KO'd before. We've never seen Oliveira get KO'd. Oliveira's been TKO'd on the ground with a flurry of noogie punches, okay? He's never been knocked off of his fucking feet and slumped to the canvas in his entire career. You don't have to say that he's got the most granite chin ever, but he's never been put out cold, all right? But you know what's not all right? Rocking around this summer with the physique of Shamil Gaziev when you're not Shamil the Blob Gaziev. There's no excuse. It's time to stop procrastinating on your diet. It's time to stop procrastinating on going to the gym. We're already midway through the summer. You're either going to lock in now and at least be lean and mean for September when it's still kind of warm, or you're never going to lock in. You know, you're going to put it off till next year. So if you guys want to lock in and you want help sticking to a diet that's not miserable, or you want to work out but you don't even know where to start, you can check out my Real Food Cookbook and my beginner lifting program. So if you're interested, check these programs out. The link is in the description. Use code MMA for 30% off. Let's get back to the video. We've never seen Oliveira get KO'd or anything close to being put out cold. He's never even been dropped up against the fence and rocked. Oh, Oliveira's out on his feet. Like, he's been dropped. He's never been KO'd like that. All right? What are we saying? And Volkanovski, yeah, Volk got KO'd, but like, look, he's bounced back. And the reason why Topuria knocked him out is because he was a better boxer, straight up.
If that makes sense.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
I do really rate Ilia, and I do have his power, and we will not underestimate him at all. But like,
I mean, that's good to hear. But it sounds like you're underestimating him already.
I think in 26 professional fights, Paddy's never left the cage with a black eye.
I mean, that may be true. That may be true. But Paddy Pimblett was getting pieced up by Luigi Vendramini. So, You know, to say he's never left with a black eye, okay, yeah, but we've seen him get hit clean. We've seen him get rocked around with his hair cut shaken all over the octagon, the fucking bowl cut shaken because you had Jared Gordon landing big haymakers on him. And I understand he's never been KO'd. He's got a great chin. 100% he's got a phenomenal chin. 100%. But him not getting a black eye, like, he's saying that as if Paddy doesn't get hit a lot. He does get hit. He does get hit. Okay?
Right. What do you make of him being ranked number one pound for pound? Is he pound for pound for you number one?
He wasn't, and then he beat Charles, which makes him pound for pound number one. He's the only person who's got 2 belts at the minute, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah. And by the way, I'm not going to get too into the pound for pound conversation, and I am going to do a GOAT video very soon, and that's kind of related anyway. But either way, I think it's clear that Ilia Topuria is the pound for pound number one because he moved up a weight class and took the second belt. That's the difference between Topuria and Makhachev right now is Makhachev beat Volk. That's a phenomenal win, but you know, he did it in his weight class. He's only won in his weight class. Whereas Topuria beat the 2 best in his weight class, moved up an entire new weight class, and took out a killer in Charles Oliveira. I mean, he's also undefeated, but again, I just think that being able to have 2 championship wins or multiple championship wins in a short amount of time in different weight classes is a little bit better than just beating guys in your own weight class. Okay, and I think they're very close, but if Makhachev beats Jack Della Maddalena, which is an even harder test for him than Charles was for Topuria, I think that he would be the pound for pound number one. So if Makhachev gets that win, there's no debate. He's pound for pound number one.
Just for those people that are writing Paddy off, what are they overlooking about Paddy and what he's bringing into this Ilia Topuria fight? If this is the next fight that the UFC lock in,
I think, let me answer that on my own real quick. I think the only thing that people could possibly overlook about Paddy, because I feel like everything else, I mean, listen, we know where Paddy is as a fighter, but it's the plot armor, really. That the plot armor is the only thing that you may overlook. That's real. Paddy has a little bit of plot armor, okay? Bedtime talks about it all the time, and that actually kind of worries me, but that's the only thing.
Because most fans are casuals, that's a thing. And
okay, let's see what he has to say. Most fans are casuals.
Most of them don't like or want Paddy to win. So they just come up with mad reasons why Paddy will not or won't do these things. They don't look at
mad reasons. So most people are casuals. They don't want Paddy to win. And so therefore they come up with these mad reasons, these tinfoil hat conspiracies, and these ridiculous reasons not based in reality as to why Paddy Pimblett won't go out there and smoke Ilia Topuria.
They don't look at technical skill.
They're not looking at technical skill. And I know what he means by that. He means that it's easy to just say Topuria by whatever he wants. But like, okay, but how does Topuria win? By what method? And let's actually look at Paddy's skill set a little bit and see how that actually matches up with Topuria. I get that, but at the end of the day, when it comes to technical skill, lad, when it comes to technique, lad, all right, Paddy Pimblett was getting thrown on his arse against Michael Chandler in the first round, all right, and he arguably lost the first to Chandler, whereas Ilia Topuria is knocking out 3 pound-for-pound legends in a row. Paddy Pimblett's best win is against Bobby Green and old man Mike. So I don't know. I mean, listen, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not using the beakers and test tubes enough here. Maybe I don't have the X's and O's on the chalkboard where you could say, well, Paddy's technique, you know, his flicking side kick up the middle and his, head kick to the hands. Oh, yeah, I love how people talk about the head kicks with Topuria. I would just occupy the hands, man. Just head kick him. Occupy the hand. Yeah, kicking Topuria's guard. You're going to win the fight by kicking Topuria's guard. Sure. All right, well, how many you got of those? You're going to have 4 of them land on the guard before the 3-minute mark into the fight, and then you're fucking face planted on the canvas. So, technical skill. You're right. People don't understand. Paddy the Batty, his new developed jab is going to be the thing that makes the difference. He's going to be putting... he's going to be flicking the jab, and he's going to be throwing his string bean front kick up the middle. That's right. That's true. The technical game on the feet, Paddy's going to win the outside foot battle. I don't know if I agree with that, man. Now listen, when it comes to the grappling, it's interesting. It could be competitive. Okay, there's some technical things. Paddy's gonna fight the hands. Paddy's gonna step over the arm, lock into the arm drag. I understand that, but come on, bro. Come on. I don't think Paddy's technical skill set on the feet is gonna like shut down Ilia's. Whereas like they're looking at Topuria, like he's got these big clobber knocking hammer fists on the feet, and Paddy's just too technical with his front kick up the middle and his head kick and his side kick to the fucking forearms. Well, no, dude, that's not gonna work. Dude, it's so funny. Like every coach is straight up, and he hasn't said it yet, but I listened to Coach Eric Nixick, and he was like, dude, Eric Nixick did an interview with Paddy, and he was saying, you just got to occupy the hands, man, occupy the hands. Jai Herbert did a really good job. It's like, dude, Jai Herbert landed a fucking lucky-ass head kick when Ilia Topuria was a tadpole in the UFC. All right? Yeah, good luck fucking beating Topuria with your fucking head kicks landing on the fucking guard.
Most coaches don't look at technical skill in MMA. They think they do. They don't actually look at what's going on a lot of the time. So, like, I don't expect, like, say, casual fans to kind of understand the intricacies of what makes Paddy good or what makes this other person good.
Yo, I actually, think it's hilarious because I'm here talking about the freaking casual MMA math, and this guy's talking about idiosyncrasies. And this is the thing that, I understand where he's coming from. I understand the frustration when you hear people like me talk about fights like this. But at the end of the day, Paddy's little fucking X's and O's and beakers and test tubes in your mind, in theory, that's not how the fight goes. Ilia Topuria hits different. All right, he's a different fucking fighter with an X factor. All right, and you don't get to sit here and tell me that Paddy wins because of fucking technique, dude. As if Ilia Topuria is not fucking 10 times the technical striker of Paddy. As if Ilia Topuria didn't technically pass Oliveira's guard and get into crucifix position and freaking reverse a takedown midway in midair because of his perfect technical wrestling. Stop.
Or anything, that sort of stuff. They just kind of see what they want to see in a vague sort of view. They'll be like, oh, Paddy will out-grapple Ilia. Okay, that's very vague. That's super, super vague. Ilia's going to knock Paddy out. Oh, is he? Okay, how is that going to happen?
Okay, yeah, I see what he's saying. I think he is making a good point. But at the end of the day, I don't think Paddy's puzzle that he brings to the table is going to be something that's so different. Something that's just so strange to Topuria. A well-rounded fighter like Ilia that can grapple and can strike and can put your lights out. I just don't think Paddy's game, his techniques, right? The things that he brings to the fucking fight game, I don't think that's going to be a big issue for Topuria. I'm sorry. I just don't think it is. And I don't think I need to explain to you why when Paddy is getting fucking rocked around by Jared Gordon, okay? When Paddy's able to freaking sub Bobby Green when he jumps right into his triangle, I don't think that I have to bring up Paddy's technique to understand that Ilia Topuria fucking creams him in the boxing, dude. Come on, son. I understand what he's saying. I get it. It's easy to overlook Paddy and just think of him as a shitty fighter because of the results, and he doesn't look like a serious athlete when he gets in the cage, and he's super fat and he has a goofy look. I get it. I understand it. It's easy to overlook him, and he does have some real techniques, and he is actually pretty solid. He's a great grappler. His striking is maybe a tiny bit underrated, but still, I don't think that Paddy's got this puzzle. It's just Ilia does really well against Holloway, Volk, and Charles. And he's able to stuff Volk's takedown, and he's able to stuff Charles's takedown midair, and he's able to pass Charles's guard. He's able to do all these phenomenal things against the best fighters in the world. But Paddy's technique, it's so different. We have to look at it like a totally different, clean slate, 50-50 matchup, lad.
But realistically, they have no weight in what they're saying. So like I said, I don't really listen to anyone about anything or opinions because everyone's got one. They're all different.
But kind of preview what that fight looks like on the feet, because we saw so many improvements from Paddy. He looked really good against Michael Chandler. And like you said, a lot of people he'll take, the way that he wins is if he takes Ilia Topuria's back. But On the feet, how would you see that the exchanges go against Ilia Topuria with Paddy Pimblett?
Well, obviously, I see them going in Paddy's favour because otherwise we wouldn't be training the way that we train to kind of take him out. But I mean, for example, you can look at Paddy's last few fights to see that his distance management is like greatly improved. You can see that he hits a lot harder, and
Paddy hits way harder, even though he's not actually knocking anyone out or rocking anyone. He hits way harder, and I think our power is going to be good to shut Topuria down. Like, listen. I understand Paddy's improved a little bit, but he's not going to do well against Topuria on the feet. Like, can he have 30 seconds where he wins a 30-second moment because he's pedaling on the back foot and he's throwing up front kicks and teeps and leg kicks at range and biding his time? Yes, he can have a 30-second window here and there where he is the only one that lands strikes and Topuria is just sort of trying to get into range to land his. But, like, Paddy needs to grapple to beat Topuria or fluke a KO. Like, he needs to get a fluke KO. Paddy has not KO'd anyone. He dropped Tony Ferguson. Okay, great. Topuria just ate a hellbow. He ate a fucking hellbow from Charles Oliveira. He ate big shots from Max Holloway. You don't get to say Max Holloway hits like a pipsqueak because he actually has decent pop, but ate clean right hands from Volk. Volk doesn't have pillow hands. He has average power. Nothing should suggest that Paddy actually hits that hard, okay? He has one knockout in his UFC debut against a fucking can. Every fighter that ever gets to a high level has knocked out people in their like early career. So if you're a Paddy Pimblett fan, you're not liking this answer. Like, I mean, I understand that you want to go into a fight thinking we're hopeless on the feet. We're hopeless. You have to be somewhat confident, but like, I hope that they don't actually think that Paddy can go out there and outstrike Ilia. Like, Paddy Pimblett should be diving at the legs. He should be Eminari rolling. He should be freaking, doing everything in his power to get Topuria to the ground so that he doesn't have to strike with him in this fight. Because I don't care how well he did against Michael Chandler on the feet. Actually, I do care how well he did. If Paddy went out there and spun Michael Chandler's head around with a crispy boxing combination and knocked him out on his fucking face, it'd be one thing. If Paddy went out there and landed 100 significant strikes to none in one round on the feet, it'd be one thing. Paddy went out there and like minorly outstruck Michael Chandler for like a 2-minute moment in the second round before they went to the ground, and he freaking dominated him on the ground, of course. But like, jabbing up patient Michael Chandler on the back foot, who sucks compared to Ilia Topuria, dude, you can't be going in there trying to strike with Ilia. I'm sorry, you can't be doing that. Like, the only thing that these fighters should be doing against Topuria is staying as far away from boxing range as they possibly can and trying to kick him until they can get a takedown. And that's the thing about the takedown. It's like, even that might be hopeless because we see how good of a grappler Ilia is. It's not that he can't be controlled. I mean, there's still a lot of questions. Maybe someone can, if they get him down, can keep him there. But just getting him down is already extremely difficult. All right?
I've got to give a ton of credit to the person that probably doesn't get the most credit for that, which is Ellis Hampson from the gym. Ellis is like one of the best striking coaches in the world. He understands perfectly how to get the best out of Paddy and the things that need to be worked on. And we've been working very, very hard on him. And it's showing in all his fights. Everyone's saying, how can he improve so quick? How does he get better so quick? Well, like I say, he is a student of the game. He's one of the hardest workers in the sport. Don't let the little bit of weight gain after a big fight make what you think about him. All fighters do that. Just Paddy's more public than a lot of the other fighters, so you see him more.
Is it?
And unfortunately, Paddy just stores a lot of fat in his face. That's another thing. Like, I don't even think Paddy gets that fat. He might get a little bit fatter than the average fighter just because he just is obsessed with eating fast food and whatnot. But Paddy just stores a ton of fat in his face, so it just looks way worse because of his fat distribution, whereas most people, it's like more evenly distributed, right?
Before I wrap up, I just want to find out from you, how do you see Paddy Pimblett beating Ilia Topuria in your mind as you think about this fight?
A bloody mess. That's what he's going to do. He's going to make his face a bloody mess. That's what I know is going to happen.
I'm not going to sit here and say that that's delusional, by the way, because at the end of the day, it's like, if Paddy were to win, anytime a fighter does win in a fight, it's often the case that their opponent is bloody or beaten. okay? Or at least a lot of the time, that's the case. So it's not disrespectful. It's not delusional that he thinks that that could be a possibility. Of course, he's going to pick Paddy Pimblett to win. So here's the thing. Do I think Paddy Pimblett's coach is delusional in thinking Paddy's going to win? No. Do I think his coach, well, maybe a little bit, but I think that's fine. Like, he's his coach, and you have to have that confidence going into a fight. But that's not the kind of delusion that led me to want to make this video. Neither is him saying that he thinks that Paddy's going to leave Topuria a bloody mess. If Paddy were to win, if that's like a fluky KO, Topuria could get bloodied up from the freaking head kick that fluke might come from. But either way, it could also be Paddy gets him down and Topuria gasses out and Paddy's beating him up like Diaz was beating up McGregor. It could be something like that. So I don't think that's delusional, but I think it's delusional to downplay Ilia Topuria's KOs. And I think it is delusional to call people mad and just write them off as all casuals for thinking that Topuria is going to destroy Paddy Pimblett. It's like, dude, Topuria beat Oliveira, Volk, and Max back-to-back. Paddy Pimblett's last few wins are against Chandler, Bobby Green, and fucking Tony Ferguson. So it's not crazy or casual to think that, you know, these guys are in different stratospheres. Paddy's out here not finishing Tony Ferguson, whereas Topuria is out here finishing prime Max Holloway, who was on a 3-fight win streak, who had never been KO'd. And again, saying he's KOing people that have been KO'd before. Like, no, he's not. He's KOing people that have never been KO'd before. No one's ever done what Topuria did to Charles. All right? He's been TKO'd, noogie punches, quitting a little bit. That doesn't count. That's not the same shit. All right? And then Volk. Okay, you'd be right in saying Volk had been KO'd before the Topuria fight. But, like, he was talking about it as if Volk was sort of done and washed. But then Volk came back a year later, a year older, and went 5 rounds with Diego Lopez, proving that his chin can still hold up a bit. So, like, I don't understand. I mean, Diego Lopez is a better quality win than Paddy Pimblett has in his entire career. Let's just say that. So Topuria is beating guys who are still winning, even though supposedly they're washed up, against people that are better than even Paddy Pimblett himself. So what the fuck? I just think that shit is delusional. All right? And again, I expect Paddy Pimblett's coach to think he's going to win, but I was listening to this and I was like, what is this guy talking about? And so I wanted to make a video about it. As far as Paddy, I think Paddy's been saying some things that I sort of disagree with, but at the end of the day, like, Paddy Pimblett should think he's going to destroy Topuria. That's what healthy confidence looks like in a high-level athlete. And Paddy is a high-level athlete, and I do agree with his coach. It is easy to overlook Paddy, and he is actually capable of having some success in any matchup. But either way, I just thought that some of these moments were kind of funny, hilarious, and I thought it'd be entertaining to talk about. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time.